we'll go through the procedure of how I make the feet. Everybody's, if you get 10 people together, 10 carvers, you're gonna have 10 different approaches. But we will get there, but I think we'll get through the body part first, carving. Toes, I usually do them separate. It's much easier to manipulate them rather than try and do them in one piece. I find it so, at least. Okay, if no one has any questions, nothing that you need any immediate help with. Yeah. It's a brass rod and with epoxy built up on it, and then it's textured, sculpted. That's part of the brass rod that runs through the foot. And I use that as a mandrel to put the epoxy on and sculpt the epoxy.
Did you clean the brass rod and make it away for the epoxy?
You said you take a little sandpaper and sand it. That's all you need.
Dave, you gonna come?
I'm gonna try to make it, I really am. I would, your hat, by the way.
And it's just like a putty, you know, mix it up.
Where'd you get that?
I got it through Kurt's Wildfall,
I didn't see it last night.
but, I think probably wood carvers. What's her name?
Right in the
Very possibly. You can get them at a lot of the carving
Hobby
supply
shop.
shops.
Did you gradually build that up? That is like one?
Oh, no,
one layer
all in
of
one piece, and then, you know, it's sculpted. If it's too much, take some off, or add it to it. And then the toes are separate, see?
I seen that.
The outer toe and the middle toe, they have a web in them. So if they're spread far enough, say I put the web in there,
Don't know if they did.
and then I just take each one
I don't think so.
and it's individually epoxied onto here. Because that way you can position them.
Oh, that's what you did. Yeah, I could almost live with that.
It really made a difference putting that ridge with that iron there.
Yeah, I didn't, let's say, I didn't bring any eyes, but, then what I will do, you know, when I get it pretty much to where I think, okay, I can live with that. Well, I would take the burning pan and go along and delineate the lips and everything and the cere. Then I'll put a set of working eyes in there, and I'll just press that full of clay. The hole will be it'll be deeper than that, because I want it so my eyes are not bugged out. So I want to be able to push the eyes deeper than what the finish will
If I look at
be.
your bird, Bob, so you're, as a gauge, I guess, your eyes are almost totally underneath that eyebrow. Would that be fair to say?
Pretty much. If you look from the top, you'll just barely see a hint of them.
Yeah, just a very,
So
Almost right.
you're going to have to push this hole much deeper, and you can always fill it up with clay. And I've always used, and a lot of guys do, they use just plain old oil clay, oil modeling clay, kids clay. It stays in there for forever, I guess.
so when I
I've
put
never
my
had a
eyes in there,
problem.
maybe I rush it too much because I use this, 20-minute epoxy. You know, I whip it
Oh,
up and I press her in there and I
no.
go for it. That's
No.
not the thing to do, huh?
No, because with the clay, if you put a wad of clay way down in there, a little ball of clay, and press your eye in, get them adjusted so you know, okay, you're within the parameters of what you want. And then I'll leave those working eyes in there, and I got a whole collection of them. I use them for anything and everything, as long as they're the right size. And then I'll take them, small diamond bits or whatever you got to work with. You know, I use X-Acto knife, anything, whatever get the job done. Go back in there and blend everything into the eye.
I mean, you're still talking with that clay in there, right?
Yeah, the eye is stuck, the eyes are pressed in clay. There's no, I didn't put the eyelid on or anything.
Maybe this is the part I'm missing or not understanding. If you use clay, do you ever take that out of there? Or,
Oh, yeah.
Or, I mean,
Okay, here, let me clarify something. I have what I call a set of working eyes. They go into the bird early on, and they stay in there during the whole carving process. Then I'll pop them out of there, and when I'm all done, I do all my burning and texturing, everything, and I'll leave them scuffed up because they're gonna get scratched. So I leave those eyes in there, and way at the end, like when all my texturing and working is done, before I start painting, I'll pop those old eyes out of there and I'll put the good eyes in there.
what holds your good eyes in there? Because I guess that's what.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because that's why I
Here.
use epoxy, so it
This-
can stay in there.
No,
That's not the case.
they're just pressed into the clay. Now again, with the finished eye, it's only pressed into clay.
Yep.
And then this area, this textured area here, you can see, or the eye, what they call the eye ring,
Okay.
that's epoxy. But I use Cullis Carvet. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, so you just roll up little thin strips and lay it around the eye then?
Yeah, because you've got half hour, 40 minutes working time with that stuff. And that's what that is. And then I'll take, again, when you go to your friendly neighborhood dentist,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because these things wear out on, you know, and they break them and everything. I even take the broken ones.
So
You know,
that,
if the points get broke off, and then what I do is I put that Cullis Carvet in there, and then I just texture
just create your
the eye
detail.
ring, yeah. See, and you can use these dental picks and stuff. Well, if you look at it real close, you can see how detailed it is, you know.
So the clay is still behind the eye?
Yes, the clay is in there. What the clay does,
You just dig out some of the clay on the outside.
as I press the eye in, the excess is gonna
Will
come
bubble
out.
out, yeah.
And then I'll just take an X-Acto knife or whatever is appropriate, whatever you got, clean all that excess clay off. And it's just a bed that the eye sits on. And it'll stay there. And then the epoxy eye ring
Well, freeze it in there and lock it in
will
place.
lock it in place, yes. And the epoxy will actually adhere to the glass eye. You know, so it's there, it ain't going nowhere.
Okay, well, maybe that's, I gotta correct that move, because like I say, I take that 20-minute epoxy and I figure, boy, I better get going on that.
No, do you know what Cullis Carvet is?
That's that black and white too, mix them together,
Well, it comes in two little,
a couple little containers.
yeah, you can get that from Kurt's too. I like it because it gives you adequate working time and you can sculpt it. You'll find a lot of uses for it.
It's kind of acrylic too, ain't it? It's water.
Yeah, and you can take it, if you find that whatever you're using for sculpting tools, when you're modeling it, if it wants to stick to your tools, just get a little water container and dip your tool in there,
Oh, sure.
and it won't stick to it, and you can smooth it out, just super smooth with a brush or water, or, you know, a tool of some kind. I like Cullis.
Does that burn as well? With the
You
detailing?
can also burn it, yes. And just as a cautionary, you may or may not know, super glue, you don't want to burn it. And if you do burn over it, you don't want to breathe it because It's,
highly toxic.
yes,
That means
it's cycloacrylate, and it makes cyanide gas, which is lethal. And you can smell it. Every once in a while it's going to happen. Go back over to reburn something, and I'll hit a super glue area, and it just burns you. I mean, you get a whiff of it right now. It's cyanide gas. You do not want to burn on that if you can at all avoid it.
Well, you know, even just this 20-minute epoxy, you burn that, you get such a smell off of that stuff too.
Yeah. This super glue is worse than a smell. I mean, it just burns you like right now. It's cyanide gas and it's lethal. So now you know, don't do it. Okay. I really don't like lead. Even if I've had stuff for 8-10 years, Cullis, I'm still using it. You use so little of it.
Yeah, like you say, it's just an eye ring here and there.
Yeah, but if it does dry out, you put it in the microwave for like 15 seconds or something. Just give it a couple of real short shots, and it'll soften it up where you can work it again. Color's cool.
I think I got some of that down the hobby store.
That could be, yeah.
Oh, yeah, pen over there, okay.
And I use it, in fact, that's what these toes are too. These toes are brass rod.
So you could take that and you can
And
wrap it, huh?
I wrapped the brass rod and then just sculpted it. Yeah. And it'll harden up. And you got 3/4 of an hour of working time with it. I mean, there's no big panic. And you got at least that much time, yeah.
Good shot.
And then after it's hardened up and I got the toes made, and what's nice about cullet, I like it, cullet is it's so workable. You can use it in heavy areas, you don't get shrinkage and cracking, or you can use, see this real thin area here? There's a web on virtually all Raptors, I think, have it. If you look between the middle and the outer toe, there's a very pronounced web section. You can see it in there.
Oh, okay.
Well, what I did was I just flattened a little piece out and put it in there. I put something underneath it, just for visual effect to lift it up.
Sure.
And it's real thin, and then I take the dental sculpting tools, and I work it in there, and it's good stuff to work with.
How about another question for you?
Yes.
When you do your feathers, give you that realistic split look to them. I look on the side here, I mean, I burn my feathers and I just, I look like, straight wood grain there.
Okay,
How do you create realistic looking splits in them feathers,
okay, you didn't bring any burning equipment, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Bob's overdosed on coffee this morning, so Bob's going to the little boys' room. And I'm going to take myself a 5-minute break and go up and indulge my habit. What they call it. On a falcon, you have that. It's a fleshy material. See all that yellow that goes up in there? Mm-hmm. And if you look at the photo references, you'll see it. It goes up in here. It's real fleshy. But you can look at that face there.
Wow.
you know, and see, there's a very definite overhanging brow.
Yep.
Not as much as on a hawk. Hawks tend to, a kestrel, right behind the eyes, it starts to, you lose the overhang. But hawks, they got more, because the deeper you go, the more brow overhang you have. You get this meaner bad boy look, you know. Kestrels don't have quite as much of that as hawks do. Hawks have a much more pronounced overhanging brow. But, and you know, when I'm working on something like this, for me, this is like, if I'm just working down to my fingers, that's 3-4 days work, and I'm talking working all day on it. But, you know, again, that's me. I'm slow.
But it shows.
But you know, I try to be meticulous, and I'm not that good that I just jump into it, bam, 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 you know, that I can sail through it. Especially if it's something I'm not really familiar with or just getting started, I find for myself I have to really digest what I'm doing and, you know, where I'm going with this thing, and to get into it and get a feel for it, because every bird is different. You know, if you switch and we're doing a robin head, you have to change your whole attitude and your whole approach to it. You know, it's a totally different species, but you can see it, you know, if you start working your way into it, you look at one side and look at the other side, there's a definite difference.
Yeah, there's more defined, no doubt about that.
You know, you can get it roughed out, you get it to the point like Myron has his here, and he's got a really good start. You know, he's got all the basic shape in there and everything. But now when you get down to the specifics and the detailing, I don't know, like I said, I don't know about you, but for me, just to do that head, that's 3 or 4 days work.
Now, when you do that, say you're to that point, you're ready to start laying that out, really start defining that beak, do you pretty much, you know, take a pinpoint here with your calipers, okay, here's my distance at the front of the beak, here I am.
Yeah, here's...
What's the best way to start mapping out your measurements?
Okay. Before I will ever start the bird, I will sit down and try to get some basic dimensions from somewhere. You know, get all your reference material together, and I don't know if you guys ever use Krausman's, but you can get some pretty nice photo packets. And it costs you, I don't remember, anywhere, depending on the bird and the particular packet and how many photos, they're like $12 to $20, something like that. But